The Wild Robot is a new DreamWorks animated movie. Now, this movie follows a robot who accidentally gets trapped or stuck on an island and starts raising a baby goose gosling and has to learn to raise a child and become more human in doing so. So that's the basic plot of the movie, and it doesn't really do it justice. It's really deep and really good movie, but that's the basic story plot. So this movie is amazing. My gosh, it's such a good movie. This is probably DreamWorks' best movie. It's definitely their best movie in a long time. Um, I love Puss in Boots, the second one. That was an amazing movie and kind of showed their DreamWorks' like big potential. We've had some good movies since then, but this is definitely a big hit. It's gonna be a classic, definitely. And when people talk about animated movies, they're gonna be talking about this one. It's just so beautiful looking and has such a great story and characters. It's very, very funny. I just found myself cracking up like the entire time. It's just a really good movie. It's well paced. It goes really quick, really, but it's so paced. It's paced so well that you don't really notice it. It's just like, you're watching it and all of a sudden you're at the end and you're like, that was so good. Like a lot of things happen in quick succession, but it's paced in a way that you're not gonna notice it, and it's very done very well. These characters are well written, very interesting. Roz, who's the main robot, main character, is a very interesting, cool character. She reminds me of Baymax a little bit, and like the Iron Giant. She's this mechanical being who doesn't know how to be a person, and she's thrust into this position where she is raising this little gosling goose thing. So she has to learn and constantly change her programming to adapt and learn to be a parent, which is gonna resonate with a lot of parents. There's no manual when it comes to raising a child. You can do everything you think is right to raise them, but you're gonna mess up because they're their own individual person, and the way you think, the way you perceive the world is not necessarily the same way that that child is going to. And you can do your best, but there's no right way to raise a child. I mean, obviously you don't abuse them and hurt them or whatever, but there's no way you can know if what you're doing for that child is what they need. And that's one of the things that I really liked about this story. It resonates. It's one of the things I love about animated movies. A lot of times people are like, it's for children, but a good animated movie is for everyone. Kids are gonna love this movie, adults are gonna love this movie, and that's what's gonna make it a classic, and it's gonna make it for people to remember. Something that's very dumbed down and generic, people don't tend to remember those movies. Maybe there are some people who watched it a lot when they were little will remember it, but there's a big difference between that and a movie that you connect to emotionally and resonate with. So this movie is definitely that. It's fantastic. I love it. It's beautiful. We haven't had a lot of animated movies this year, but it's definitely my favorite one so far, and I think it's the best looking one. It's just absolutely beautiful. I love what they do with this movie, and I hope we see more of these movies from DreamWorks because it's just fantastic. It really is. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. I enjoyed it that much. Like I said, it had great comedy, had great emotional moments, great characters. Just overall, fantastic movie. Definitely go check it out and watch it. Like I said, it's DreamWorks' best movie in a long time. And that is saying something because, they've had some mediocre movies, but DreamWorks is good. They don't get as much praise as Disney or Pixar. They do good movies, and every once in a while they just have like this big banger. And this is definitely it, and I absolutely love it, and I'm gonna watch it probably several hundred more times in my lifetime because I think it's that good. So yeah, definitely go check it out. Like if it's a good movie. It's just a good movie, and I think people will enjoy it regardless. If they don't like animation and they go into this, they're gonna enjoy the movie. It's just a good movie. So I'm gonna talk spoilers a little bit. So if you haven't watched the movie, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom, spoilers. So again, This follows Roz, a ROZZUM robot. The movie takes place like in the far future. We get glimpses of the world. It looks like at one point society collapsed or something like that, because we see parts of the world are kind of flooded and just kind of vacant, and there's this future. There's like futuristic cities and everything that are really nice, but they seem really small. And when Bright Bill, the goose that Roz raises, flies out into the world, he goes into one of these futuristic cities, and they panic because they're like the duck is, are bringing contaminants or something like that, which could be just like foreign elements or whatever. But it seems like maybe a plague or something ravaged the world as well, which is very interesting world building. We don't learn a lot about the world, but that's cool to see. Anyway, in the beginning of the movie, Roz, the ship crashes onto the island with a bunch of robots, the ROZZUM robots, and Roz is the only one to survive. And these robots are programmed to help people, so Roz is looking for a task. But all the animals are scared, and you just torture her because they don't understand her. And eventually, her programming advances in a way that she's able to understand them. And she's still trying to ask them, can I get a task from you? But they still don't like her, trust her. And eventually, through a bunch of hijinks and everything, she accidentally smashes a duck nest or goose nest, kills the mother goose, and crushes all the eggs. But there happens to be one egg left, which this fox Fink tries to eat, but Roz stops him from eating, and then the egg hatches and imprints on her. And the fox Fink informs her, and is like, well, it imprinted on you, now you're going to have to raise it, that's your task. So her programming kicks in, she's like, okay, that's my task, I'm going to take care of this goose. And the fox Fink kind of teams up with her, because he's kind of like interested in her, and kind of hates all the other animals on the island. So he kind of informs her, he's like, I'm a goose expert, really just tricking her to, or it's, I don't know, her, I'm going to call her Roz, her, sorry, it's really a non-binary fucking robot, sorry. But if I say her, my apologies, whatever, it's a robot. Roz, it tricks Roz into getting it food so it can eat, saying that he's a goose expert, and tells Roz that she needs to do three things. She needs to feed it, teach it to swim, and teach it to fly, so when winter comes, it'll be able to fly away and everything. And the gooseling, Roz ends up naming it Bright Bill. First, she's like, I'm going to name you 00000, and the Fink's just like, no, you got to give it an actual name. And through the events of living in this world, Roz, kind of learns, her program advances, she's constantly rewriting it, and she's becoming self-aware and intelligent and everything, which is very cool, and it starts becoming, having emotions and everything, even though at first Roz isn't really sure if she does. But we skip into the future after several months, I don't know how many months pass, but we're getting closer to winter, and Bright Bill is trying to make friends with the other goslings, goose, whatever, but he doesn't fit in because he acts kind of like a robot. He's constantly going beep, boop, boop, beep, beep, and stuff like that, which is just hilarious. I like it because obviously he was raised by a robot. But eventually he finds out that Roz killed his mom and his family, and he's very upset. He's just like, well, I don't trust you. I don't want to be around you anymore. And then Roz is very upset about it, and so is kind of Fink. Fink acts like a tough person, but he cares about these people. Eventually, this other goose, Gosling, informs Roz that he's been watching her, and she's like, Bright Bill, he tells her Bright Bill would have died, because Bright Bill is the runt of the litter. He's a very small goose, Gosling, and nature would have just, realistically, would have killed him, and he would not have stood a chance to try to fly out into winter. But since Roz has been helping him, he does have a chance. So he's like, you just got to keep working with him and teach him how to fly for a long time, have this endurance, and if he gets that, he can fly with us. So Roz kind of makes up with Bright Bill, and they start working on flying, and he eventually gets good enough that he will be able to fly to winter. So he flies off with the other goslings, gooses, whatever, and Roz is very sad about it. You know, and so is Bright Bill because they were still kind of in an awkward situation, and he didn't say that he loved her, even though he wanted to, and Roz still didn't know she was capable of it. So they fly off for the winter, and winter hits the island. It's a very bad winter storm. So Roz saves all the animals with Fink's help and brings them into their little house that she had built earlier for Bright Bill and Fink. And they just, all the animals, after a talk from Fink, decide to stick together and take care of each other. And even though, you know, a lot of them eat each other, as long as they're in that house, they're not going to do that. So they're able to survive winter, and Roz is at this point very damaged and just covered in moss and everything. She's just falling apart, and all the goslings come in, and Roz goes to look for Bright Bill because she's excited. Again, she doesn't realize she does have emotions and she loves him, but she goes there and she sees that Bright Bill has become part of the flock. He's found his place there, and Roz is very sad, so she decides to activate her homing beacon, which had broken earlier, but she got a second one. Again, I'm skipping a lot of things, so to go back to where she believes she belongs. And at first she activates it, but she quickly, you know, turns it off. But the company is able to find her, so they come to the island to retrieve her and all the other broken ones to take them back and reprogram them and fix them and all that stuff. But they really want Roz because they're like, all these, you know, that time of data you have is very valuable. So the company, the evil robots sent by the company, try to capture her, and it sets the forest on fire. And Roz gets captured. They didn't at first. They do fight up all the evil robots because they're united and they all love Roz. But the forest gets set on fire. She gets captured, and all the goslings go to save her. And Bright Bill's able to save her. It looks like she almost dies, but even though her programming or everything was erased, but she still remembers because she's like, it's not something that's in here. It's something that's in here. Pretty much her heart or soul, you know, whatever that she has gained by caring about these creatures and being on this island. They eventually put out the fire and destroy the evil robots, but Roz decides to go back because before the evil robot was destroyed, she's like, they'll always come and, you know, they'll come back. They'll keep coming back until they get you. So she decides to leave to save everyone she cares about on the island, but she promises she'll be back. She has this emotional moment with Bright Bill. They make up, and she promises again that she will see them again. And the movie ends with some time later. It's winter's about to hit, or winter did hit, and all the animals on the island are together and united. They love each other, and we see that the goslings have flown out for winter, and we see one of these futuristic cities where a bunch of the ROZZUM robots are working, and Bright Bill goes up to one of them, and it's Roz, and she remembers him, and she picks him up and kind of embraces him, showing us that, yeah, she does have all those memories and cares about him, and that hopefully eventually she'll make it back to the island for all the animals and everything. That's the end of the movie. Quick, like I said, I skipped a lot of things and a lot of emotional moments, but that's the plot of the movie. Really good, really enjoyable, fantastic movie. Definitely go check it out and watch it. It's a great movie with a bunch of emotional moments, and it's just very hilarious at a lot of points, and I absolutely loved it. So definitely go check it out. If you have seen it, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did Roz remind you of a lot of other robots like the Iron Giant or Baymax? She's definitely one of those level robots that's going to be in those columns and talked about like them. Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.